famous Bruin staircase. Again, a lot of movies filmed. You'll see this view. A lot of television and movies.
On April 27, 1965, Martin Luther King Jr. speaks at this location right here that you can see, a day of inspiration, a legacy of progress. Now, at a critical time during the Civil Rights Movement, Martin Luther King Jr. visited the UCLA campus and delivered a 55-minute speech at the base of Jaans Steps, Janes, and this is the steps right here. You go all the way down to the bottom, and you can see the plaque of where he was standing. Now, at this location, there was more than 5,000 students and faculty that gathered at the UCLA's Wilson Plaza to hear the words of Martin Luther King Jr., the driving force behind the civil rights movement of the 1960s. Now, the address came on the heels of marches from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, which saw thousands of demonstrators.
Continue walking down the steps. Try to concentrate. Go very slow.
Demonstrators making their voices heard in the fight for voting rights for all. In fact, only months after the UCLA speech, President Lyndon Johnson would sign the voting rights into law, echoing themes from the history-making I Have a Dream speech at the nation's capital in 1963. King spoke at a prospective future in which African Americans had a greater role in the shaping their political destiny.
Area. On this site, April 27, 1965, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. spoke to the assembled students, faculty, staff, and alumni of the University of California, Los Angeles, in response to Dr. Martin Luther King's call to action. Numerous UCLA students and alumni joined in the effort to register voters in the South. We honor the memory of Dr. Martin Luther King, celebrate the courage and the commitment of the dedicated UCLA volunteers who, by their actions, helped to change history. Wow, Dr. Martin Luther King on this spot right there. That's where he spoke. So all around this area, you'll see a lot of students.
Entitled Segregation Must Die. The speech at UCLA not only underscored an ongoing struggle for equality, but also served as an invitation to students to get involved.
Almost to the bottom. Gotta go slow.
Things don't change on their own. Things don't change by waiting for them to change. They change through actions of good people, King told the crowd, sharing that his goal was to get 2,000 students nationwide involved in voter registration efforts in the African American community. Inspired by his words, more than 20 UCLA students would leave California that summer to participate in the Summer Community Organization and Political Education Scope project and join the fight for integration and equality through the South. Today,
Court of Philanthropy 19 to 2005, with the completion of the campaign, UCLA and the university proudly dedicates this campus landmark to those philanthropists whose generous gifts of $1 million and more, together with their exemplary leadership and the vision, have propelled UCLA to international prominence. And this is just like the wall of the donators. And this is where you'll see a lot of movies be filmed, one of the locations. This tribute to the power of philanthropist partnership is made possible by the generosity and leadership of the UCLA Foundation and the UCLA Alumni Association. Here you see a different angle of the steps.
A plaque at the base of JANSS steps commemorating the speech and a moment in time that many of those who were there still look back as one of the most powerful speeches that they would ever hear.
Wilson Plaza, dedicated to Bob and Marion Wilson for their philanthropy and their commitment to Campaign UCLA, April of 2000. Some of the donators: Gibson family, Elizabeth Glazer, Pediatric AIDS Foundation, we have David Geffen, Alzheimer's Association.
Now, King's message gave students and faculty and future generations a message of hope and reconciliation, continues to live through the university's community outreach and African American Studies program. Now, in 2015, a long-lost audio recording of a 50-year-old speech delivered at UCLA by the late civil rights leader Martin Luther King had been unearthed. A long-lost audio recording of a 50-year-old speech was delivered at UCLA by the late civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. and had been unearthed. That was found in a storage room in the Communication Studies Department. The students put together a 55-minute speech, which you can find on YouTube, and it went live on his birthday 4 days before the national holiday honoring him. The speech, recorded originally on a 7-inch reel-to-reel tapes, will become part of the UCLA Communication Studies Speech Archive, an online collection of more than 400 speeches delivered on campus by politicians, activists, entertainment personalities, and other newsmakers, primarily during the 1960s and 70s. Like King, UCLA now defunct Associated Student Speakers Program, with donations from the alumni department, began to digitize the speeches and uploaded them to YouTube. So far, more than 180,000 listeners have tapped into the online archive. Now, the timing of the speech was significant. King delivered it on April 27, 1965, 1 month and 2 days after the triumphant march from Selma to Alabama that is depicted so movingly in the new biopic, Selma. The film's director, Alva Maria Duchovny, majored in English at UCLA in the early 1990s. Hollywood Says, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. Hollywood Says, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Hollywood Says.